Now to the other major headline from Bali. The Xi Jinping-Joe Biden bilateral, their first face-to-face interaction in their current positions. The two leaders have met before. Biden often boasts about this. The US president claiming he has spent more time with Xi Jinping than any other world leader. He did not miss the opportunity to remind the Chinese president about that.
We spent a lot of time together back in the days when we were both vice presidents, and it's just great to see you. And you and I have had a number of candid and useful conversations over the years, and since I became president as well. You're kind enough to call me to congratulate me, and I congratulate you as well.
Biden tried to strike the right tone from the start. No fist bumps like MBS this time. Xi Jinping got a smile and a handshake. The Chinese president also greeted Biden with a smile. How did these two leaders approach this conversation? Joe Biden used the opportunity to lay out his red lines. Listen in.
As the leaders of our two nations, we share responsibility, in my view, to show that China and the United States can manage our differences, prevent competition from becoming anything ever near conflict, and to find ways to work together on urgent global issues that require our mutual cooperation.
What about Xi Jinping? How did he respond? Well, surprisingly, he was open to talk.
The world has come to a crossroads. Where to go from here? This is a question that is not only on our mind, but also on the mind of all countries. The world expects that China and the United States will properly handle the relationship. Our meeting has attracted the world's attention, so we need to work with all countries to bring more hope to world peace, greater confidence to global stability, and strong impetus to common development.
So there was a willingness to hold a dialogue. That is usually a good sign. But when the leaders got down to business, their differences were apparent. Biden and Xi Jinping spoke for over 3 hours. All outstanding issues were discussed. We have a summary for you. Biden told Xi that the US will compete vigorously with China. He did add that their competition should not veer into conflict. The issue of Taiwan came up. Biden raised China's recent actions around the island. He termed them coercive and increasingly aggressive. Biden and Xi also discussed the war in Ukraine, of course, and on this front, there seems to be some agreement. Xi Jinping, for a change, agreed with Joe Biden. Both the leaders believe there should not be a nuclear war, and they are sending a warning to Russia here. Finally, Biden discussed North Korea as well. Reports say he raised concerns about Pyongyang's provocative behavior, a clear reference to the recent missile tests. That's what we got from the White House. What about China? What did Xi Jinping tell Joe Biden? Just before we came on the air, the Chinese side released their summary about the talks. It describes them as frank and constructive, but again, Taiwan seems to be the clear sticking point. Xi Jinping issued a clear warning to Joe Biden. He told the American president that Taiwan is a red line that should not be crossed. I have the exact quote with me. Listen to this. This is Xi Jinping. This is what Xi Jinping is said to have told Joe Biden. We hope and always have strived for maintaining peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, but Taiwan independence is as incompatible to peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait as fire and water. The Chinese state mouthpieces have put out more details. China Daily has put out this piece, the headline reading, "Leaders of China and US need to set right course for bilateral ties," says Xi. Biden seemed to agree with Xi Jinping too. In a press conference, he said there need not be a new Cold War with China.
I absolutely believe there need not be a new Cold War. I've met many times with Xi Jinping, and we were candid and clear with one another across the board. And I do not think there's any imminent attempt on the part of China to invade Taiwan.
And that is the major takeaway. Dialogue between the US and China had almost broken down. Today's meeting might pave the path towards a revival. A new framework is now in place for discussions. US secretaries, that's members of Biden's cabinet, would now have meetings with their Chinese counterparts to discuss these differences. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is now scheduled to pay a visit to China for further talks. His task is now cut out: prevent the differences from escalating into a conflict. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.